Greetings. We have just gotten back from seeing The Hunger Games. Quite. There was hunger to be had.
Yes.
And before we begin, we would like to say we are fucking geniuses.
Yeah.
We are fucking geniuses. This is the second time we've recorded this vlog. Because the first time, Mr. Microphone was being Mr. Not a Microphone. We have no idea how that happened. Check from behind the camera.
Yo, I'm Josh. Sup?
Yeah, at some point it got turned off. We don't know when.
So, genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Oh, man. But yeah, okay, to start off, this should come with a couple of warnings. We are going to go into spoiler territory, but we'll warn you when we get to that point. Mm-hmm. We're going to try to keep the non-spoiler territory in the front and do the spoiler stuff at the back. So you should be able to watch this for a while, and then we'll give you the warning. Mm-hmm. Other thing. Simply because the comparison is inevitable, there was a lot of fear that this movie would simply be Battle Royale light, that it would not go nearly as far, and that it would wuss out in key areas. So to answer the big question of does it do that, the answer is yes and no. And the comparison is actually unfair to both movies.
Agreed.
But it's inevitable, so we're not going to try to avoid it. Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know, the setup of the Hunger Games is very simple. There has been this civil war that has happened. You don't know exactly where, but you get the feeling it's kind of America-esque. But that was something I actually kind of liked about it because you didn't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the English-speaking world, it could, if not for the accents, it could just have easily have been the United Kingdom.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And because of this civil war, they have these games where every district that was considered a traitor district in the war has to give them 2 people to fight in this bloody reality show. Mm-hmm. Now, with a name like and the prize is not only prestige, but food for the district you come from. And that's why it's called the Hunger Games. Now, when I first heard Hunger Games, I was sort of like, wow, maybe maybe it's about cannibalism.
Yes. Yeah. See, the idea of a movie or a book series about 24 kids put on like an island or just some sort of remote area and forced to eat each other sounded amazing.
Yeah. That's not what happens.
No.
That's not what happens. But it is kind of like where our brains went.
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, God. Things that worked. The visual storytelling in this movie is amazing.
Yes. Whoever directed this, kudos to you. I think it was like Gary Ross or something.
Yeah, I think it was Gary Ross.
I have no idea what he's directed before, but I'm going to look forward to whatever he directs next.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it actually seems, this is actually the second movie I've seen that came out in the last 12 months that has actually been really, really, really strong in the visual storytelling aspect. Is that cat in the way? Oh, maybe not.
Kitty just wants to be a
celebrity. He wants to be an internet star. But yeah, like this and Hugo were 2 movies. Well, and Hugo wasn't too surprising because it was Scorsese.
Yeah.
But it was it's amazing to see 2 movies on that level so close to each other. I don't know what it's been for the last year and a half, but if you haven't seen a recent film that you haven't liked in the last year and a half, you know, Twilight notwithstanding, that's a different kettle of fish. Man, I don't know what you could be expected to like.
Either you haven't seen many movies or you're just very cynical.
Yeah. This is a game. This is a movie that if if you think you can get over the Battle Royale comparison, you are going to love this movie.
Yeah, and I was able to get over it pretty quickly.
Yeah. Me too, and I love Battle Royale.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite movies ever made.
Yeah, and I was actually all prepared to go in hating this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but no, very pleasantly surprised.
Like the characters in this movie are fantastically written. Like,
yeah.
And acted.
Yeah.
Whoever casted this movie, kudos to you, because there were characters that were there for like maybe 2 or 3 scenes that I ended up caring for completely. And
yeah.
That takes some good acting.
Like the Lenny Kravitz character.
Yeah, the Lenny Kravitz. Like,
yeah, you don't even recognize him because he's fucking he's shaved all his dreads off. You know, so you're like, who's this guy? And then you see the credits, Lenny Kravitz. You're like,
oh yeah, that was Lenny Kravitz. Yeah, like, he was good.
He was really good.
I didn't expect it because I wasn't sure like where he was in terms of acting talent, but he definitely pulled off this character, and I was impressed.
Yeah. The script gets across each character so efficiently. Mm-hmm. Like, usually within the first minute you see them, you have a bead on that character, and it's not because they're a stereotype.
Yep. Like what's his name? Zombieland dude.
Woody Harrelson?
Woody Harrelson. Like his character.
Yeah.
Like, immediately when you see him, you get exactly everything that character's about, and that's rare.
Yeah. Yeah, and they do that for a lot of characters.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Like even Rue. Like, the first time you see her, you get what Rue's all about immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the game becomes, is it an act or is she being for real?
Yeah, I actually liked. I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
I'm like, is she really this small, like, sneaky little innocent little thing, or is she really like?
Or is she a monster in disguise?
Yeah. They could have gone either way. And
they really could have. In case you hadn't noticed, we haven't read the books.
No.
We went into this fresh.
Mm-hmm.
No expectations from the novels. Although, given the movie's popularity, I am betting that fans of the book are pretty satisfied.
Yeah. From what I've heard, yes. If you haven't, then let us know why. Because
leave a comment.
Curious.
Leave a comment. Let us know how you felt about this movie if you're a fan of the book.
Mm-hmm. Like, there were certain things that I felt like probably were explained better in the book, because I'm assuming just because they seem like things that a book can explain a little better. For example, there's this finger sign that the districts do that. It's like 3 fingers, and they hold it up in the air, and it's. You get, like, immediately it's like a symbol of pride of the district, or symbol of of uniting or something like that. But they never quite explain what it means. It still works, but it would have been nice to know exactly where this comes from.
Yeah. What that was about. But that's a little world detail.
Yeah, it's a little world detail that's probably explained in the book.
Yeah, they do an excellent job of setting up the world that this happens in.
Yes. Like the costume design.
Yeah. The costume design is really interesting because all the people in the districts, they're all very, like, coal miner, living in absolute abject poverty.
Clearly have one pair of clothes to wear.
Yeah. And then they get to the capital city, and everyone is just outlandishly dressed. Like, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen the woman in the purple outfit with that huge amount of makeup on.
Yeah.
They go to the Capitol, everyone looks like that.
Everyone. And it's really interesting because like, it's what they're wearing and their hairstyle and stuff like that. It's familiar, but you've never seen it quite put together in that kind of combination.
Yeah. It's very visually stunning.
Yeah.
When they go from just that one person who stands out to, like, an entire city.
Yeah.
You're just sort of blown away, like, whoa, okay, that's just what everyone looks like.
What's interesting about it is something that you brought up before, is that they, on the outside appearances, the way they dress and the way they express themselves seems very, very liberal.
Yeah. Very, like, like San Francisco.
Yeah,
like,
San Francisco Faye, drag party, something. Like, a lot of them look like they were drag queens, actually.
Yeah.
But they adhere to very conservative values.
Yeah.
And their governments run very conservatively.
Yeah, extremely conservatively.
Yeah, it was a very interesting dynamic and contrast that I don't think I've ever seen quite like this before.
Yeah. They do that visually very well, where they kind of like. It was very obvious that I think they were trying to avoid the whole red state, blue state comparison.
Yeah, definitely.
And so they decided to deliberately screw with it.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a very, very good job. Maybe it's that way in the novel too, but
I'm sure it is. Those costume designs had to come from some sort of inspired source. And
yeah. Oh, yeah. And whoever the costume designer is, thumbs up.
Oh, yeah,
holy
definitely.
Crap. No, this movie's gonna. With Hugo having swept the awards last year, I'm sure this one is slated to win a bunch of shit too.
This one should definitely be up for costume design, if nothing else.
Nothing else. Nothing else.
Definitely.
Yeah. One of the other things that this might be going into spoiler town. Maybe I should save that.
Okay.
Well, actually, before we go to spoiler town, was there anything else you wanted to bring up?
I want to briefly talk about the cinematography.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, briefly. This is something. This is one of the cinematography I'm of two minds of, because on one hand, what they like to do in this movie, especially when you get into the games, is shoot a lot of really gritty handheld close-up shots. And I get why they do this, especially in the games, where they want you to feel like you're in the games and you're just as lost as everyone in it, and it's chaos on the screen.
Oh, yeah, that's super like MTV video cutting. Yeah.
But the problem becomes because it's like that, you don't know what character is doing what, and it makes it hard to know who's in danger.
Yeah. And it's very obvious that they did that on purpose because you're in the games. Yeah. And it's very effective that way. But there are some times when, just for the sake of the story, you're like, wait, what's happening right now?
Especially towards the end, where we've already kind of establish that feeling, and then you get toward the end where they have a scene that takes place at night and it's shot that same way, and it's hard to follow what's going on. I would have liked if the game started off that way but slowly became a little more watchable. Yeah. Especially the first scene of the games, which we'll talk about. Yeah,
later.
We'll talk about it in the spoilers.
But yeah. I really felt like that. The problem I've noticed that the problem I have with that type of editing and that type of camera work is it gets a little bit into like the alienation effect, and that's mainly something that is done in theater. But I think because of the prevalence of like shaky cam probably coming in because of like the preponderance of like found footage movies. That we're getting a little bit of that in film accidentally. Where we're kind of disassociating from what we're seeing on the screen. And if the overall intent is to get us in the action, then it actually sometimes has the opposite effect.
Yeah, in this movie, it kind of did sometimes.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it in the beginning, before they go into the games, and like the districts are all shot handheld, whereas when you get into the towns, when you get into the main town where all the Fae people live,
the capital,
it's all shot very cinematically. And I liked that contrast a lot. And because it's all like dramatic scenes and stuff like that, the shaky cam, like, you could follow what's going on then. But when you got into the like people trying to stab each other, people trying to hit each other over the head, and people wrestling on the ground, and you don't know who's got the knife, who doesn't have the knife. I would like to know who has the knife. So
that we know where the tension lies. And I think, well, we might as well go into at this point I think we're going to go into spoilers. So where that worked best, that quick camera cutting, is in the first 5 seconds of the actual Hunger Games itself.
Those first 5 seconds are fucking eye-opening, and what I love about it, completely silent.
Yeah, completely silent, totally brutal.
Yeah,
like half the people in the Hunger Games die in the first 5 seconds.
Bam, and that's the point. Like, that's the point where I really started to question the rating of the movie.
Yeah.
Because I entered a PG-13 movie aimed at like 13-year-old girls, and I go see this movie, and I'm watching like a 12-year-old girl like lift up a cleaver and slam it on a dude's face. And it's like, How did they get away with that?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
covered in blood when she lifts it back up. You're like,
Yeah, and that's actually part of a trend that we noticed. Like Twilight was like that, because we didn't even think that maybe Twilight would be rated PG-13.
yeah, because of the birthing thing.
Yeah, and then we get there and it's like, oh yeah, PG-13. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you see that vlog, go watch it now. We have that question. We're like, wait, is this a PG-13 or an R? No, it turns out it was PG-13, and it needed to be an R.
Yeah,
And this one is actually kind of the same way, but there's no foul language and there's no sexual situations.
yeah, just sexual tension, which is fine, but not actual sex. So.
Yeah. Had anyone actually said fuck, I guarantee they would have got
Yeah,
it.
if anyone had said fuck, or if they implied that that a couple during the game started screwing,
actually
then,
had sex, yeah.
If they'd done that, then it probably would have gone to R.
Yeah, but meat cleaver to the face,
Yeah.
not a problem.
Meat cleaver to the face, pulling an arrow out of like a 12-year-old's chest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm not talking about off camera pulling it out. It's literally pulled out in a close up.
Yeah. You watch it happen. There's no mistaking it. Jesus. So much about this movie that was so brutal, and I actually really like that.
I really like that, but don't be mistaken. This movie doesn't go as far as Battle Royale does. It's just given the situation we were watching this movie, and given that it's an American movie and it's PG-13, we weren't expecting it to get this brutal.
Yeah. I still would have suggested this be an R.
Me too. It's the weird American violence is okay. Nothing else is.
Yeah. Nothing makes that more clear than this thing.
Yeah. And that leads us. You were talking about the East versus West thing.
Oh yeah. There's a very. It is definitely a very American film, and part of this is that there's a very strict, normal romantic plot that goes through all of this. Now, and you never get tired of it. They never get to the point where you're like, stop.
Because they make you care for both people.
Yeah. You actually care.
If one of the characters had been like just dry and bland, it would get really aggravating really fast. But they establish both characters really well.
Yeah. You like both of them quite a lot, and you are rooting for them. You do want them to both make it. But in Hunger Games, like they get a lot of outside assistance. They get a lot of help. Whereas in Battle Royale, it's much more stark. It's just like they're just thrown in there, and no one's going to helk them at all.
No one's going to help them at all, and any asking for help will just get you hurt more.
Yeah. It's ironically, Battle Royale is weirdly like way more brutal. As far as it's and it actually hurts more. When certain things happen, like if you've seen spoilers for Battle Royale, like the poisoning scene in Battle Royale is heart-wrenching. Hunger Games never quite reaches that height.
No,
because it doesn't go for it. Like there's actually a group of kids from a district, and I think, they're specially trained from birth to win the Hunger Games.
Yes.
And so they like get together and they start killing and bullying all the other contestants, and it's obvious, like at the end, they're gonna fucking kill each other.
Yeah. It's very much like a simplified, these are the bully kids. Like,
Yeah, which was one of the first bits of the movie that just kind of made me go, really?
Yeah, I did the same thing where I'm like, I don't think it would be. I don't think the kids would do that. But then at the same time, I thought of a bunch of kids I knew in high school, and I feel like if they were American kids, I can see some kids doing that. Like just full on, becoming full on bullies and just enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people like that. Like,
yeah. That's
internet
true.
trolls are like that. Like, they're not killing people. But, it's like.
Although this movie probably would have been enhanced if like people would start having troll faces.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh man.
But speaking to the American thing, this movie is a much when you get to the games, it very much is a very simple life and death scenario. It never gets complicated like in Battle Royale where you have like miscommunications leading to deaths. Or
Yeah.
This is just straight up like, this guy wants to kill me, I'm going to kill him first thing.
Yeah. And weirdly enough, like another thing, the overall ending of Battle Royale feels like a movie America would have done 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that the ending of The Hunger Games is a movie that an Asian country would have told 20 years ago, at least as far as like the resolution of the plot is concerned and what the overall theme is. Because, but somewhere along there, that switched.
It probably around the times where the Asian culture started influencing the American culture, and the American culture started influencing the Asian culture.
Yeah.
I've known people who like go to Japan, and there they fucking love America. And you go to an anime convention here, they all want to be Japanese.
Yeah.
There's probably some cross pollination going on there.
Yeah, probably because in Battle Royale, there's a much more clear "fuck the system" kind of message that happens, which is why Battle Royale 2 doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, but in the Hunger Games, there is a much more of a, the system will go on. You can't, you can't change the system.
Yeah.
Kind of feeling.
In Battle, to put it this way, in the resolution of the Hunger Games, they work the system. In the resolution of Battle Royale, they break the system.
Yeah. Yeah, and ultimately, I think the ending of Battle Royale is a little bit more satisfying when you come right down to it. Definitely for me personally.
Though I have a feeling that probably in the books they probably eventually get to that fuck the system mode.
I'm told they do,
because it would make sense for me knowing that there's 3 books. One of them has to have another revolution.
Yeah. It's the only way to go.
Yeah. I mean, it was clear one. Well, it was clear one was almost started in this one. Best scene in the entire movie. There's a character in the movie named Rue.
Yeah,
Rue, and she's this little girl, and God, I can't remember the main character's name. Anyway, the main character, she kind of takes Rue under her wing after Rue saves.
Catelyn.
It was something like that. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
The names were all kind of. When I was watching the movie, I'm like, "Oh, that name's creative. It doesn't sound like a name that we would."
Yeah.
Have now.
They're all like.
But because of that, I can't remember any of them.
Yeah. You'll remember it in the movie. Like that's for sure.
Yeah, I remember.
But Cat's the name character. We'll just shorten it to Cat.
Yeah. Rue saves her life, and so she kind of takes Rue under her wing. Rue's a lot younger, and big spoilers here. Rue ends up having a really tragic death. And after she dies, Kat gives her a proper burial, and Kat addresses the cameras because throughout these games there are cameras set everywhere because the entirety of this nation watches the games.
Yeah.
And she addresses the cameras, and she gives the symbol of the symbol that they established earlier in the movie that the people of the districts use. And the people watching from the district that Rue is at lift their hand and do it, and then you see this one guy, and they don't have to tell you who this guy is. You figure it out rather quickly, and this guy just starts a rebellion right there and there, right here and there, and it's clear that dude was Rue's dad.
And I like how they didn't have to spell that out.
It's crystal clear.
Like we said before, the visual storytelling of this movie is really impressive. Usually they would have to have a guy come in and go like, "That was your little girl, wasn't it?"
or something.
Then he would lose it. But here it's just like crystal. You don't have to think about it. There it is. Like people getting mad and revolution. Woo!
Yeah, and it's because of that scene, actually, you really want there to be, like, a major rebellion in the final round,
You really want that thing to go, like, all the way.
But I guess we'll have to wait.
Yeah. There's also a scene in the movie with a bowl of cherries.
Yes.
And
towards the end.
Towards the end. And the thing that's so brilliant about the scene is that you know exactly what is happening. and you don't even see what happens.
Yes.
You just know.
You know, it's they establish not early on, and not as early as I would like, but they establish at one point in the movie about these berries and how they're poisonous, and if you eat them, you die.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the movie. There's a character who pretty much runs the games, and they say that he's been doing it for like the past 3 years.
Yeah,
and there's probably someone who did it before him, and he's the current like head of it, and he runs the games, and he pretty much runs them the same way a television producer runs a television show. Like, where's the drama? Let's get those two together. Let's those two might kiss, so we got to push them together. Like,
yeah. That's another kitty. That's another detail. The level of control that the producers have over the environment of the Hunger Games is basically unlimited.
Yeah.
If they want a tree somewhere and they do this, they're like, put a tree there.
Yeah.
And a real tree appears.
Yeah, we want a fireball to fly from the sky and just set the forest on fire. Done. You want a genetically engineered wasp to appear? There.
Yeah. Yeah, so it becomes very clear that, like, the Hunger Games is not about a resource war. It is purely about intimidation and control.
Mm-hmm.
It's all it's
population
about.
Control.
Yeah, population control.
And the guy who's running it all, he after the main characters pretty much work the system and both survive. You see him walk into this room, being led into this room by some soldiers, and he enters the room, and it's a completely empty room, but in the center is that bowl with the cherries. Or the berries, not the cherries, the berries. And you know exactly what he has to do.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
The plot of the theme of Hunger Games, particularly towards the end, actually, they had actually done something I would not have expected a big budget Hollywood movie to say, which is that hope is a better control mechanism than fear.
Yes, that was really profound.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. And the guy who says that, Donald Sutherland, who plays the greatest villain I've seen all year thus far.
Yeah, he doesn't have to raise his voice. He doesn't have to get angry. All he has to do is prune flowers and say his line, and he's terrified.
I gotta say, I've never been that intimidated by a dude gardening before. Like, damn.
Yeah, he's like, okay, yikes. Yeah,
and nothing he's saying. There's not a word he's saying that is a threat or like
no.
It's all subtext, and that speaks to the greatness of the script. Like and probably the book too, because I'm assuming the book has that as well.
Like, man, like the closest he gets is like a veiled threat.
Oh yeah.
Very veiled.
I like you. Be careful.
Yeah,
and he says it with a smile.
Yeah, like he kind of. The funny thing is, the character looks a little bit like Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So you warm up to him immediately, and then he does the heel turn very fast.
It's like old Uncle President Frost. Like,
yeah. Actually, I think it's Snow.
Is it Snow? Is it President Snow?
I think it's President Snow.
Either way, the Santa Claus thing, like
yeah. It throws you. It's a great performance. Actually, almost all the performances in this are real good. There was one performance where that seemed out of place, and there's this one point where this one girl is trying to kill Kat, and spoilers, she's the one that killed that. No, she didn't. Did she kill Rue?
Yeah, she was part of the group that killed Rue.
Right. Like, she kills Rue, and like she does this. Oh God! It reminded me of the Jeremy Irons performance in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Like, she all but goes.
Yeah.
You know, just because she's like, she's evil. You know, and that comes to a really good, satisfactory conclusion.
Yeah, the conclusion of that is pretty awesome, but the character does feel out of place when she first shows up.
Yeah, you're just sort of like, wait, you're being evil at me. Shouldn't this be more? And that actually contrasts with the tale of the final villain.
The guy who's ultimately like the major threat.
The
leader of the group that killed Ruth.
Yeah.
Rue, yeah.
Yeah, like they do a turn with him that is actually really good. Which is also in contrast to Battle Royale, because at Battle Royale, when they killed the Psycho Kid, it's been thoroughly established this guy is unrepentantly psychopathic.
Yeah. He is a complete and utter sociopath, and there's no saving him. Like,
yeah. This guy, at the very last minute, you feel sorry for.
Yeah.
You know?
And that was great. Like, that was a great scene. And that actor, like, I wasn't sure if that actor would be able to, like, pull off anything like that, because it seemed like he was just generic bully guy.
Yeah.
Like, and then he pulled it off. I'm like, wow. Like, I was actually surprised by all of the younger cast in this movie.
Yes.
Like normally in a movie like this, like, say, for instance, Twilight, the cast usually very, like, bland performances and very, very dry and dull. And everyone in this gave really fantastic performances.
Yeah.
Very emotionally driven.
Almost every performance in this is command. It's insane. God, yeah, even Rue, the little girl who plays Rue, Jesus
probably
Christ.
the youngest character in the movie, next to her sister at the beginning.
Sister.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think we mentioned that before, but in case you didn't miss, like, Rue represents her little sister.
Yeah,
in case you didn't get it,
and that was really well done.
Yeah, it was really well done
because it wasn't spelled out, but it was clear.
Yeah. Because the other thing is I think it's more important is you don't mind.
Yeah.
You know, you don't mind.
I think it's because you care. Like, you're right with her. You care about Ruth. You want her to take care of Ruth just like she would her sister.
Yeah, exactly. Which brings us to something else.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently there is this whole. Yeah, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
There is this whole backlash that exists over the fact that the character of Rue is black.
Yep, and she is written in the novel as having dark skin, and I haven't read it, but I have read that passage.
Yeah, and it's not even just dark skin; it's dark brown.
Skin.
You know, so you're like, okay, this is a little black girl. Got it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't understand how anyone could have not gotten that.
Apparently, a lot have.
Yeah. Apparently,
there's this backlash of people basically saying that that they either hated the fact that she was black, or that when they found out she was black, they didn't care about her anymore.
Yeah, that, which I thought was the most monstrous thing I heard.
It's insanely racist.
Yeah. It's beyond. It's beyond racist.
It's pure evil. It's shit like that makes me believe the kids that in the game that actually enjoy themselves.
Yes,
you know, it's like,
yes. Yeah, you're like, wait, what? Like, all of a sudden you find out that this person is black, you don't care about. You're gonna say you don't care about them anymore?
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, number one, if you watch the whole movie and when Ruth dies, you don't get close to shedding a tear, you have no heart.
Yeah. Just stop. You know, stop giving people Christmas presents. Stop telling your parents you love them because you don't.
Yeah. And number two, Ruth could have been any color and it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah. It wouldn't have mattered.
The character's still strong.
Yeah, it's a very good. It's a very good character. You know, it's a very good character, and I can't believe someone wouldn't. I can't. I almost don't have words.
I know.
I almost don't have words
because it feels
in the 21st century. Somebody is, and that's, by the way, that's not that whole thing about like, well, I cared about her less. That's not a paraphrase. That's actually a quote. We'll put up the.
I believe the quote was something to the extent of. I don't want to seem racist, but when I found out Rue was a little girl, I didn't care anymore. Newsflash, that's fucking racist.
Yeah. Fucking. Oh, jeez. Yeah, there's a Tumblr. Josh found all this stuff on.
Oh God.
Yeah. We'll put the URL up. Check it out. It's really, you want to watch like the racist mind at work.
If you want to hate the world around you, go ahead.
We'll put that URL up. Oh wow! It was that person also had like the best line, which is basically, you know, if you suddenly don't care about this character because you've discovered that they're black, that is in fact evil and racist.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's the definition. That's
It's the pure. It's
that's the high watermark
That's the
of
source
racism.
That's the source of why when a little black girl gets kidnapped, we don't hear it on the news. But
Yeah,
when a little
yeah.
white girl, we hear every single day.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's the source of that shit.
Yeah, which is really, really, really disgusting.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, it does make it feel like maybe the Hunger Games are possible after all.
Yeah,
You know?
because people are that fucking fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
something is like the color of the girl's skin. All of a sudden, you don't care about him anymore. It's like,
Yeah, it reminds me a little. It reminds me a little bit of that famous David Chappelle skit about the blind racist who's actually black. You know.
By the way, those racist people that like had that reaction to the Hunger Games, good luck ever watching Battle Royale. 'Cause it's all Japanese kids.
Yeah, and I would just like to add, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, fuck you. You know, if you decide you don't want to watch this show because I said fuck you, you're a racist,
pretty much. That's
fuck
just,
you, I don't want you.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
Like, what it comes down to.
God, like that was eye-opening and freaky. Now, granted, makes me happy that that's far from the majority opinion.
No, definitely.
Far.
This movie
Like,
made
people seem
way
to-
too much money and has been singed way too much praise for that to be the majority.
Yeah. People love this flick, and I can see why. This is one of those few movies that like everyone loves, and I get it.
Yeah,
I'm
me
like,
too. Me too. This is a great movie. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That being said, I think we should probably just talk about some of the stuff that didn't work for us.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. I think we already touched on the editing.
Yeah, we touched on the editing a little bit in the cinematography, but
What about? There was one metaphor that I did not get. And it didn't seem like a metaphor at first, but then they brought it back, so it was really confusing. For some reason, there is this butterfly metaphor that is going throughout the film. Like, you're like, oh, and at first you're just like, oh, like it's like that moment of beauty. It's like a pet the puppy moment, right?
yeah, it's like she finds a moment of beauty just after a slaughter. Like,
Yeah. And, you know, and then the butterfly flies off, she looks at it. But later on, she's got like, after she lives. Later on, when she's being interviewed after the game, she's got like a little butterfly thing around her eyes. And, well, did you just figure it out?
I think I may have.
Which is?
Because the butterfly flies away. The butterfly got out of the games.
Maybe.
At the end, she's the butterfly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Maybe. Maybe that's why she's got a weird version of the name Cat. Maybe it's supposed to be Caterpillar.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, like she's the butterfly.
Maybe we just figured that out.
Just figured that out.
I don't know. It's just a theory. I don't even know if the butterfly was intended to be a metaphor at all.
Well, it
but
had to
it
be 'cause
seemed
they
like
brought it back.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed like
that may okay. Yeah, she goes in the caterpillar and she leaves the butterfly.
Yeah.
Although I thought the thing is with all the fire, I thought they were going more for that phoenix imagery.
Yeah. Because
she's even associated with a bird.
Yeah, with the pendant, the mockingjay. Which comes back in the story actually really well. Like,
No, that
mockingjay
totally worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they mix it up with this butterfly imagery, which is a little like.
It also doesn't help that the poster is that pendant on fire.
Yeah,
like
yeah. So you got this whole like phoenix thing happening, and it's weird to say like she is the phoenix, she has been reborn, and then to go she's also the butterfly.
Yeah,
like,
I think this is an instance where the visual storytelling in the movie, despite being fantastic almost entirely throughout, wasn't entirely clear.
Yeah. Every time, the funny thing is that this thing does subtlety very well, but it doesn't do. It doesn't do literal very well. You know, because there are times when it would have really have helped if we had gotten a bit more literal with what was happening.
Yeah, I think the one time where it did get literal and it worked was when they're sitting in the window and he's talking about how he feels like.
Yeah.
the other guy, because in the Hunger Games, 2 people from each district are put in, and so she had someone else that she knew and has a history with that's put in the games with her.
Yeah,
and there's a scene right before the games where they're sitting out the window and looking out at the poppies and talking about the people and how fucked up they are. And
yeah. Although the funny thing is that was my least favorite dialogue in the movie.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
But it was the one moment where they were just literal.
Yeah. It's like I don't want them to change me. I don't want them to control me. And it's like, well, I don't. Maybe I'm getting old.
Yeah.
But like the only reason that works is because they're supposed to be like 18 years old.
Yeah. If they were older, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, if they were older, it wouldn't have worked. It would have felt like really tacky and stupid. And actually, it still does feel a little tacky and stupid.
Yeah.
You know, considering how well they handle any other scene that has that kind of subtext.
Yeah.
You know, that it works. But here it's like, well, it's like I said, anytime literalness is called for, the movie gets really shaky and kind of fails.
One thing for me that was not entirely clear was there's the romantic subplot throughout the movie between her and the guy that she gets put up with this with. The guy has a crush on her since before the games even began.
Yeah.
And you watch this come out, and then eventually she starts to like him, and then there's also this subplot of they have to pretend to be together and be this like this couple because it puts on a better show.
Yeah.
And it was never entirely clear whether or not they became a straight up couple or whether or not it was all show.
Yeah, you don't. Get
at least on her part.
Yeah. Like
on his part, it's clear. But.
Yeah, on his part, it's clear. Hers, it's a little less. I mean, they do have that moment with the antibacterial.
Yeah.
You know, where he's like,
and when she kisses him, like at the same time when she kissed him, like my thought was, is she kissing him because he might die and he loves her? Or is she kissing him because she loves him?
Or is she kissing him because she gets the note early?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a moment in the movie. Oh, yeah, the sponsors thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make a big deal about the Hunger Games sponsors, but they don't explain why there are sponsors or what they do for you until it's shown, which was another thing I really liked.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah, because there's this point where their mentor, who is Woody Harrelson, who's watching them, is like, oh shit, like she's taken a wound to the leg,
and she's stuck up in a tree, and there's people down below waiting for her to get down.
Yeah, so they can kill her.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson's character like goes to bat for her and finds a sponsor, and what the sponsor does is the sponsor drops objects into the Hunger Games arena for you to use. And they sent her like antibacterial ointment. And it's apparently like, it's a high technology setting. It's like, it fucking heals up in an hour.
And in order for the sponsors to back you, they have to like you. So you have to put on a better show, and you have to, and you have to almost in some way put on a performance, which is. And one of the notes she gets when she gets one of these things, she kisses him the first time, and then she gets a note which is saying, "You call that a kiss?" Yeah, and then she full on like makes out with him for like a couple seconds. Yeah.
So you're never quite sure how in love with this guy she is. It doesn't help that part of the character is that she is very reserved.
She's very reserved, and it's made clear that she has a guy back home.
Yeah.
And even at the end when she's reunited with that guy, you're not entirely sure because it's all done silently and you're all looking at her expression, whether she's sad to see him because he had to watch her go through all that shit and watch her, or if she's sad to see him because she's with this other guy now. And I would have liked a clear answer on that one.
Yeah. It's like, if we got this romantic plot, I would have liked to have made that clear. And if it's clear in the book, go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, please.
You know, because I get the feeling that's something they would make pretty clear in a book.
Because in the book, you can hear her thoughts.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That was, oh God, that was so strange.
And that's not to slight the performance, because she actually does give a really good performance. The problem is, it's just the movie doesn't make it clear itself. Like, because no matter what, coming back, she would be sad. It's just not clear why she's sad. Like,
yeah.
And for all I know, it could be all of those things. Like,
yeah, it's but man, I was so surprised. It's such a good movie.
Yeah. It's a surprisingly good movie. I highly recommend everyone check it out. I highly recommend anyone looking for a movie with a really strong female lead, especially in the post-Twilight world.
God, yeah.
Check out this movie and support it, because we need more leads like this.
Yeah. This is a great like female lead movie. It passes the Bechdel test with flying fucking colors. There are no less than 3 very important scenes that are just between 2 women, not talking about anything masculine at all. You know, all just about their relationship with each other.
I believe it has like more than 3 scenes in like the first 10 minutes, like just between her and her sister, like, and her mother.
Yeah. Oh god, that fucking opening.
Yeah.
They fucking revealed District 12.
Yeah.
With that fucking scream, you're just like, oh my god, that set the tone so well. Like, oh god, yeah. I feel like such a jackass, because I feel like I should be like, like, no, Hunger Games bad, but like I'm just jizzing over the visual storytelling.
Well, because it was a really well done story. It was well written. It had a few shaky moments. It had a few flaws and stuff like that. But we don't get movies this good all the time.
No, we don't. Last year we got Hugo.
Yeah, Hugo's a great example of another great movie. But like, we're used to getting shit like Transformers and Smurfs. And it's nice to get a big budget blockbuster like this, that's like, or like Super 8 last year, that's actually got a story to tell, It's
yeah. Yeah, and I think this one's doing better than Super 8, actually.
Oh, much better. Like this one, like apparently like the 3rd highest opening next to Harry Potter, and I think was it The Dark Knight? May have been The Dark Knight.
Wow.
Like, bam.
Yikes. Well, we'll see.
Which, by the way, puts it ahead of all the Twilight movies. So.
Good.
Bigger opening than any of the Twilights. Like, so suck on that.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Next time you want to write your girl fantasy, keep that in mind. Hunger Games #1.
Oh, that actually brings up something. What I really did like was that the male romantic interest in this movie was kind of definitely the weaker one, like the weaker person. Like,
physically,
physically, mentally, just entirely. Like,
yeah.
And
we also get the feeling he's more damaged.
Yeah. And I kind of like that, because usually it's the girl that's the weaker, the more damaged one, or something like that.
Yeah. Although I think I was kind of wishing that, like, at the very end, he did a little bit more of the man up without taking her thunder away.
Yeah.
Like, because that's kind of, because I think that would have been kind of, it's really easy to just make the male character in the traditional feminine role, but it's a little harder and a bit more interesting to have him fill that same position while still being masculine.
Well, I felt like he still had the masculine thing. It's just, it wasn't very prominent throughout. In the final scene, for example, he holds his own against that guy.
Yeah.
It's just he was wounded.
Yeah. You get. Like I said, that's a quibble. You get why it doesn't come out of nowhere. Yeah. It's not that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, like, I'd kind of like to see, a different take on this kind of on a relationship. Like, does one have to be weaker than the other?
No. They could be equal.
Yeah. But perhaps it's only fate that makes the that difference.
Well, I mean, she was on equal ground with her first romantic interest.
Yes.
They're both very, very good hunters. They both had very clear views of the world. They both did not like their position. They were pretty much she was kind of in a relationship with herself.
Yeah. Like maybe. Wait, doesn't that screw up the imagery though? You're like, oh, maybe not. I don't know.
See, the relationship thing is the only thing towards the end that wasn't clear for me.
Yeah. Like that. The funny thing is that that's the weakest aspect of the film, but it seems to be the aspect of the film that most people are crawling out of the woods to see.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, it is a young adult novel meant for little girls, and little girls love their romance stories.
Yeah. But I mean, like, but the problem is when you get down to it, the romance plot actually does kind of fail.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely the weak link in the storytelling chain, and maybe I only feel that way because everything else is so strong.
Yeah, it may be that way. I mean, the romance certainly isn't bad.
It's not. Yeah, no, it's not bad by any stretch of the. It's not Twilight bad.
Yeah.
Christ.
It's not Twilight. It's not like some movies I've seen where like the romance plot feels completely shoehorned in.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That was actually, you're right, because the one thing I really appreciate about the romance plot is it does not derail the plot.
Yeah, no.
You know, usually when that happens, everything else comes to a screeching halt.
In this one, it's very organic. It moves the plot along as it goes, and part of it feels like this romance subplot has to happen for her to complete her journey. Like,
yeah. It does feel right. It's just weird that that's the aspect of the movie that is weakest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even I feel like I'm being unfair about this.
It could be.
I
don't know.
Like I do have like this kind of like. It's not that I don't like romantic plots; it's that I feel like they're really easy to do badly. Like my great example would be You Got Mail.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hate that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, that movie is all romantic subplot, like chick flick catering, which in principle I don't mind because I like it when movies cater to me.
Yeah.
So why should I be mad at a movie catering to a different audience? But at the same time, there's just something about the Sally, it's not Sally Field. Fucking, she's in everything with Tom Hanks.
Oh,
Fuck. The Sally of When Harry Met Sally. in fucking You Got Mail, it's just the most pandering piece of crap where the fucking romance plot grinds the plot, which is a romance plot itself, to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
And you're just like, how did you do that? How did you make this so bad that the romance itself, which is the whole point, fucking brings everything to a screeching halt? Hunger Games doesn't do that.
No.
You know, the plot keeps moving. It moves very well.
Mm-hmm. I was actually surprised at how long it was because it didn't feel.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 hours.
Yeah. It felt like it just.
Yeah, it went by in a breeze. You're just watching it, and then it's over, and you're like,
because I think it was pretty much like almost like 1.5 hours before the games even began. Like,
yeah. They take their sweet time. Oh, it's like that joke I like to tell, which is like, it's like Polynesian drumming. Drums don't kick in for 4 hours, but they couldn't come in any faster.
Yeah.
Like, this movie is actually like that. The Hunger Games doesn't happen for like almost an hour and a half. It could not happen any sooner.
Yeah.
Timed that perfect.
Yeah. And that's one of the major differences actually between this and Battle Royale. Battle Royale puts you right in the games.
Oh yeah,
and then
Jesus.
And then works backwards.
Yeah.
This one takes time setting up the games and leading you into it, and watching the character go through the journey. And you need all that stuff for her character.
Yeah.
The thing about Battle Royale is it's not about one person; it's about a whole group
of people. Yeah.
Whereas Battle Royale,
that's actually what I really liked about Battle
Royale.
Yeah.
It's what makes Battle Royale work. But this here is mainly about this one girl, and everyone else that's connected to her have their own little stories, but hers is the most important one.
Yeah.
Which also what makes it more American story.
Although they do the same thing to get across the feeling of the game itself. Both movies do the same thing, but in different ways, which is sudden violence, extreme violence. Like in Hunger Games, you have that 5-second scene where half the contestants are killed immediately.
Yes.
And in Battle Royale, you have the fucking explosive collar on that one kid.
Yeah.
They're both so sudden, and you're just like, oh my God, like, this is, all right, this is what we're here for. Fucking settle in. And I think that's very interesting. I think that's kind of like testament to how effective that sudden violence is. Whereas in Battle Royale, it does it in the beginning, so you're not expecting it. This one lulls you into the false sense of security and then does it.
But while doing that, it's also like psychologically preparing you, but you're still not prepared.
You're still not ready. Which I thought was kind of genius, actually.
Because they're like showing you like really harsh images of these people training and like throwing knives at boards, and like when they hit, it's like with a thick thunk.
Yeah.
And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh man, if that was a person, they'd be fucking dead.
Yeah.
And you're also being told this entire time, like, the rules of the game and how the game functions and what not to do and what to do and how people sometimes die and how people sometimes survive.
Yeah, and they even brilliantly set up do a reverse setup. Actually, I don't think it's quite a reverse setup, but it's when Woody Harrelson tells her, "Look, they're going to have all that stuff right in front of you. Don't grab it. Don't waste time grabbing it. Just grab the easiest one that you can carry and head for the fucking hills and find some water."
Yeah.
You know, the game's about survival. If you stick around long enough, you're going to get murdered.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just sort of like, okay. And then it happens, and you just watch, like, these people just brutally murder each other.
Yeah, they're not people, kids.
Yeah, kids.
Kids.
Little kids fucking just like 12-year-old girl murdering a little boy and vice versa.
What I always thought was funny is that like the big thing with Battle Royale was that the movie could never be made in America because America would never make a movie with a bunch of kids doing that. They just did.
Yeah, they just did.
They just did. Like,
yeah.
One thing this movie does surprisingly well, because it's something that's usually frowned upon. This movie relies a lot on coincidences. But it makes them work. An example being the first time we see the hand of God, that is the sponsors, giving her something. When she's up in the tree and the people are surrounding her and she's stuck up there and they're waiting her out for days on end. And she might get an infection and die, so they send her something.
Yeah.
Normally, when a character just is given something like that, like from the hand of God, and it feels like a very, very contrived coincidence or something like that, and it seems too easy, audiences tend to get annoyed at that because it's like that's just too easy. It's
so convenient.
So convenient. But because they make it so unfair for her before that, it becomes acceptable. It becomes like, I'm glad someone threw her a bone.
Yeah. That she needs a bone. She needs it.
It's like, damn. Like,
because that comes right on the heels after they literally set fire to the forest.
She was having fireballs thrown at her from God. Like,
from the fucking control panel of the fucking show.
It's because she was getting too close to the edge.
Yeah. They're like, no, we got to lead her back to the group.
And then that leads her directly into the bullies, which chase her down and chase her up the tree, and she's wounded and she's been hit and throw her a bone. Like, there's no way she's out of the situation unless you throw her a bone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that reminds me of another thing. Whether should you see this in the theater? Okay. Caveat. If you had a problem with watching Twilight, not for Twilight itself, but because of the audience, wait for DVD. There is nothing about this movie that won't play well on a screen at home.
Because we went and saw this movie in a 21 plus area with a bar.
Yeah.
And we still had giggling schoolgirls in the background. So
yeah, well, they probably were. Well, probably college girls.
Yeah. But I mean,
there was like inappropriate laughter, like, you know, hollering at the screen whenever like their favorite boy character or actor was having an emotional moment.
Yeah.
And it was one of those like what? Like, hey, we're having do you mind? I'm having an emotional moment with the screen.
There are some movies where that's appropriate, where that kind of audience reaction is warranted. But in this movie, it's such a grueling, depressing, and violent movie that it takes you out of the moment.
It does.
And it's not acceptable.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to see this on DVD, do so.
Yeah,
I mean,
do
it'll probably make the shaky cam a little more tolerable too. Like,
yeah, I this is probably going to hit Criterion at some point.
Oh, I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, this is it's arty enough.
Yeah.
You know, God, fucking Donald Sutherland.
Oh my God.
Christ.
Yeah. Like,
I'm not going to get over that performance anytime soon. You know,
like I am Avengers, Prometheus, Hobbit, all of you movies coming out now. I'm giving it to you to try to top the Donald Sutherland villain performance. Okay.
yes.
I want one of you to try because that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, do it. We dare.
Dare you.
Dare you.
And that goes for you too, Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, like, oh man, fuck yeah, yeah, god damn it. Like, yeah, let's more. God damn it, I can't believe they made Bane a terrorist. You're like, again?
That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, god.
Anyway, to end this vlog, take us out, Jackula.
Hunger Games. If you're thinking of actually, I think this actually would be a very good date movie. Now that I think about it, I was going to make a joke about it, but I think in all honesty,
it would be a good date movie.
It is a good date movie.
I mean, it depends on how squeamish your date is.
True. But considering that the book and the movie is geared towards gals, probably
But like I know at least one girl that like she like would probably be crying the entire time and probably would be like, "Why did you take me here?"
Not to have the emotional experience.
Yeah. So if you know someone like that, probably don't take them to it. But I mean, like if your girl likes the book,
yeah, if your girl likes the book, she's gonna love
take
this
them.
movie. Yeah,
if you have if you have someone who's a little less squeamish, go ahead. Like,
yeah,
you have to establish that first.
So, in the end. Hunger Games, Eat the Rich. Yes. Thumbs way up. Go see it.
4 skulls up.
If you want to win the game, you gotta take a good aim and get the most marbles with your hippo. Playing Hungry Hippos. Hungry Hippos.
Hungry Hippos is the name of the game, and whoever hippo gets the most marbles wins.
Playing Hungry Hippos.